In this video, we're going to do a 4x2 Lego in SolidWorks 2019. So we're going to start already in a part. We need to make sure that our units are IPS because Legos were designed in IPS. So let's go here to the drop-down menu, options, document properties, and under units right here, select IPS, and I like 3 decimal places. Okay. All right, I'm going to click OK. Make sure you make this change before you start. Okay, so we're going to come over here to our planes and we're going to choose a plane to start on. I personally think that I want to start, it doesn't matter to be honest, but I want to start on the front plane. So I'm going to right click, normal to, so it faces me, right click again, sketch. Now of course we're going to start connecting our first sketch to the origin, and our first sketch is going to be very simple. It's just going to be a rectangle. Okay, so we're going to come up here to the corner rectangle tool under the sketch, within the sketch tab. Okay, so we're going to click here and we're going to drag it out and make it look like a rectangle. It doesn't matter exactly how it looks because we're going to fix it by adding dimensions. So in terms of dimensions, the way we do that is by coming up here and clicking on this button that says Smart Dimensions. And we are going to give it the dimensions that are, the dimensions of the Lego are really interesting because they're all fractions. Almost everything in Lego is in fractions, and that allows for there to be a lot more precision. And what's kind of really nice is that instead of typing, it's a lot more precise to type, I don't know, 10/3 than to type 3.33 because we know it's 10.333333. And what's awesome is we can write 10/3, 10-3 in SolidWorks, and it it understands what that means. So that's fascinating to me. Anyway, so the length of the Lego is 5/4. So just write, and that's 1.25. That's not too fancy. You could type that, but just to get in the habit, 5/4. And the height is 5/8. It's a ratio of 2 to 1. So 5 divided by 8. Okay. Now, I don't love how this looks on the side. I like it when it looks straight. This is the ISO drafting standard, and I like it ANSI drafting standard, which is what's used most commonly in North America. But I have to kind of like tell it after the fact for some reason. My SolidWorks is a little glitchy sometimes. We should change in a moment. There we go. I like that better. All right, so making sure that we started at the origin and we connected properly, and that we have these sketch relations like horizontal lines. If you don't see these little symbols, that's okay. Probably means that you have them blocked. If you want to see them, here's how. Drop down menu. This one, it says view sketch relations. If I click it, they go away. If I turn it on, they show up. I think it's useful to see them, so I'm going to leave them there. Okay, so it says fully defined, so that means I can move forward, and I'm going to exit. And I am going to blow up this sketch by coming up to the Features tab and selecting Extruded Boss Base. And the height of this Lego is, let me check my notes. Actually, I need to pause because I can't read these notes. Oh yes, that's what I thought. It is 3/8. So here, we're going to say 3/8. 3/8. Perfect. Okay, so the direction is blind right now, and it goes from the sketch plane. That's all fine. So, all right, so now we have our block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save my work right now. So File, Save As. And I'm going to call this my 4x2 Lego. I'm going to save. Okay. So the next thing that I want to work on is I want to make those pegs pop out from the front. So I'm going to right click on the front, make it normal to. And I'm going to right click again and start a new sketch. And I'm going to start a sketch by coming to my sketch tab and clicking on a circle, of course. And I'm going to draw a circle somewhere over here, which I'm going to define, going to Smart Dimensions and giving it a diameter. Now my diameter symbol got lost somehow, so it says mod diam. Don't worry about that. You won't have that issue. Okay, so the diameter here is 3/16. Okay, I want to see something. What happens if I click on this? This is not something I should be experimenting with. Yeah, symbol library file is missing. You should not have this problem. Only I have this problem. Okay, moving on. So this is 3/16, 3/16. And I want to tell it where it is positioned in terms of the, like vertically and horizontally. From here to here, this distance is 5/32, 5/30 seconds. And this distance from here to here is also 5/30 seconds. 5/32. Okay. Now that it is fully defined, I can move on. Now here I have two choices. Right now I could use this to make a linear sketch pattern, okay, and make it so that it fills out the 4 that go this way and the 2 that go that way. But I actually want to show you how to do this using a feature pattern. So I'm going to exit my sketch. I'm going to blow this peg up. I'm going to do extruded boss base with it selected. The thickness is 1/16 of this thing. Right now this is way too big. 1/16. There we go. Beautiful. And I want this merge result to be checked right now. Not always, by the way. I'm going to show you a situation in which you don't want it, but for now you do. Okay, check mark. And now instead of doing a linear sketch pattern within a sketch, under the features tab, you're going to notice that up here there's a linear pattern too, a feature linear pattern. What's nice about the feature linear pattern is you don't have to worry about fully defining the sketch anymore. But this only works if you can figure out the exact distance between things from the get-go, okay? All right, so it's asking me, what is the first direction you want to go in? I'm going to move this a little bit. My first direction is this direction. I want the distance to be, let's leave it at 0.1 for now, and I want there to be 4. The second direction, I want it to be that direction. I want there to be 2, okay? And there's this button that says spacing and instances, or up to reference. Spacing and instances is fine. And then it wants to know what's the feature, or what's the, what do you want to replicate? Kind of select on the side so that the whole thing is orange. There we go. Well, clearly that's too crowded. So the distance is actually, and I know this distance, it's actually 5/16. Okay, for both up and bottom, 5/16. It has to be very exact, because otherwise the Legos don't fit into each other, right? Like with Legos, you're not messing around in terms of precision. They need to be very precise, or else they don't work like they should. And that's it. I mean, it looks beautiful. Again, it's all about telling it the direction, the number of instances, and the distance between the instances. So I'm going to click on the check mark. And I'm going to save my work. That seems like a good stopping point for now. Okay, let's save. Now this looks beautiful, but we need to come and dig up the bottom and make those 3 hollow pegs from the bottom so that, again, Legos work how they should. And I'm going to show you a cool new tool, and that tool will allow us to kind of carve in in a way that's pretty easy, and it's called a shell. Now a shell is very helpful. It's very powerful. It basically, you tell it how much to leave behind. It only works when you can uniformly remove material and leave material behind that's of the same thickness. If you need something that's uneven, if you only needed a square hole that goes up to here, then shell would not be a good fit. So shell is right here in the features tab. Go over to shell. You're going to click on the bottom face right here, and you're going to leave behind, the thickness of what you leave behind will be 1/16 again. And go ahead and click on this button that says show preview. You will see the preview, and you will see that it also carves into the pegs, and that is fine. We actually, if you see the Lego underneath, that's kind of what it looks like, to be honest. It looks like there's these little notches from the bottom. They're not vital to the workings of a Lego, but they're there, and that way this is made easier. So this seems about right. Let me click on the check mark, see if it gives me any errors. It did not. It looks pretty good. So that's exciting. All right, so the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create those 3 bottom pegs. Okay, so let's make this normal too. Let's right click and make a new sketch. And this new sketch is going to be a circle. A circle that is right here, about that size. Make sure that you're selecting the inside face, okay, not the edge, when you start a new sketch. Under Smart Dimensions, I can tell you that the diameter of this circle is, real quick, yes, 1/4. You may have to pause to write some of these down. And the distances that we need are 5/16 and 5/16 from the side, from the bottom and from the side. Make sure you're selecting the outer edge. If you select the inner edge, obviously the measurement will be wrong because we're taking it from the wrong place. Oh, I already did this one. Escape. Skip from there to there. 5/16. Excellent. It looks like it is fully defined. So I am going to exit my sketch. And I am going to blow it up. I'm going to do a extruded boss base, and I'm going to show you a cool trick here. So if you want to figure out how high to go, you could do the math. You could figure out, well, the height of this was, what was it originally? 3/8. So I could say 3/8, but it's minus, it's sitting already a little higher. It's not sitting at this, it's sitting a 16th higher because the shell was 1/16. So you could do it like this, and SolidWorks will do the math for you, and this works out beautifully. But I want to show you a different way. Instead of doing it that way, I'm going to select, instead of blind, I'm going to close out. I'm going to click Extruded Boss Base, and instead of selecting blind, I'm going to select up to surface, and then it doesn't need to know a height, it just needs me to select the surface that it's going to go up to. So that's it. Now, in this case, I want you to on-click the merge result. And the reason is we're going to do a shell of it. And if we merge it, the shell is going to try to eat up through the rest of the part. And we only want it to affect this one part. So uncheck the merge result. Click on the check mark. And now, as I mentioned, we could cut in, another hole, or we can use a shell. The reason I don't do the hole is because I'm not sure right now what the diameter of that hole would be, but I do know what the thickness of the shell is. So, and I could math it, but I'm trying to be practical. So if you click here and you come to shell, you're going to shell it. The shell here is 1/32. 1/32. And you can click on show preview. If it gives you an error, chances are you forgot to uncheck the merge result box in the previous step. So go back and do that. If you click on the check mark, there you go. That's 1 peg. Let me save my work. And here is the grand finale. We're going to copy this over twice, and that's all we're going to need to do. So we're going to do a feature pattern, a feature linear pattern. Click on linear pattern. But here's the tricky part. So the direction is this one, this line, or this line, it doesn't matter. But skip the direction 2. You want 3 instances, by the way. And you do want them 5/16 apart again, 5/16. But the tricky part here is when you come to select the features, you need to select, you can't just select what you see because it's not going to know to bring the shell with it. So the way we're going to bring the shell with it so that we don't have to shell those again, so we're going to open this menu and we're going to select here, I want the boss extrude and I want the shell. Even though it seems like it's here, it wasn't there originally, okay? Make sure that both the boss extrude and the shell are selected, and make sure that this geometry pattern box is checked. I'm not entirely sure right now why the geometry pattern check needs to happen, but it does. So once you do this, again, very carefully, and it looks good. I mean, it looks kind of wonky, but it looks good. I'm going to click on the check mark, and there it is. Let's save our work. Now, one last thing that I want to do is I might want to color my Lego. It doesn't matter in any way, except it looks better. If you want to edit the appearance of your Lego, you can click here in this button that says Edit Appearance. And I only love to do this because honestly, Legos are so gorgeous and colorful, and it's a shame to leave it all in gray. So what you can do is you can do it in different parts, or you can just select the whole thing, like everything. And also like this too. All of them. I want everything to be red. This should be an easier way. There's probably an easier way. I'm not really trying very hard here, but okay. So now everything except the shell. I'm not sure why the shell won't get red. There we go. I'm going to click on the check mark. I know, beautiful classic red Lego. It just makes me so happy. So that is it. Again, before you're done, make sure that you are all fully defined. So open these 3 arrows, make sure there isn't a negative sign next to it, because that means there's an underdefined sketch, and that can be problematic. You could also last thing change the material to plastic, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to, or at least not now, not at this point. But we now did something really cool. We could print these and have fun with them, or just kind of play with Legos. Even here, you could make assemblies out of Legos. So I think Legos are pretty neat and a good way to practice some of our basic SolidWorks skills. That's all I have.